Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Warhammer 40k battle report. And this is a special one because it marks the virgin battle of my new army theme, Talos spam. And this is a list I'm going to be sticking with for a while now, trying to learn its ins and outs, and with the goal of becoming the best damn Talos herder in the galaxy. And these things were freaking expensive, so it better work. I plan to do a video on this list a little time in the future, but for now this picture here that you're seeing is a diagram to outline my basic battle plan. So needless to say, I was super excited for this battle, and as this battle took place in Kensington High Street Games Workshop, I had no idea who I was going to face, which always makes for a great game. And who should we meet but the ancient nemesis? The Necrons are back! If you're not into mathhammer, you can skip ahead for a bit, because after the battle was done I was interested to see just how tough the Lichguard unit with Orikan and the Overlord actually is, and so I wrote a little code to work it out. I won't bore you with the details, but if you are interested I'm happy to share what little coding and formula I've done, and perhaps I'll make a video on it in future. For now, if you're a Dark Eldar using splinter weapons to shoot at this unit, the discerning Necron will put the wounds on the Lord. Why? Because he's got a 98.6% chance to save any armor save he makes. This means, to be confident of causing one wound, you need to make him take 72 armor saves. If at all possible, you should try to surround the unit and get the hits allocated on the Lichguard, because they only have an 88.8% chance of saving an armor save, which means that 9 armor saves should kill a Lichguard, and so 45 armor saves should kill the unit. As it happens, the same applies in combat if you're hitting them with something that's, say, weapon skill 5, strength 7, ignoring armor, monstrous creature like the Talos. And to put this in context, my 4 Talos attacking without charging will probably cause 6.6 wounds per round of combat. And the Lichguard are probably where such attacks will be allocated, because Orikan and the Overlord, or Lord, only have an 87.5% chance to save any given armor save, which means you only need to wound them 8 times in order for them to fail 1. If you need an example that Games Workshop doesn't playtest its games, this motherfucker is it. Kitted out as per the previous army list slide, it costs about 410 points. For 25 extra points, at any point during the game, once per game, the entire unit can choose to re-roll its reanimation protocols for the phase in which it's declared. I know people don't like the once per game stuff, but seriously, you don't need more than that, because to be honest you don't really need it at all. For another 25 points you can give it an item that allows them to deep strike, and then once per game in any movement phase of theirs they can automatically deep strike anywhere else on the board. Given that the one weakness of this unit is its rather limited mobility, I'd say that's pretty good. But it's a good thing my opponent's going easy on me. All things considered, I think this is probably a better strategy that I should have run with. But I didn't know any of these details before I started playing, so let's see how I did. I won the roll to deploy first and get the first turn, and so I put my Talos as far forward in the middle of the table as I could and hid my Venoms behind the scenery. Let's see if I can remember this. There was a 3-point objective here, a 4-point objective over here, a 2-point objective over here, another 2-point objective in the ruins just behind that building there, and there must have been a 1-point objective over here somewhere. I think that's about it. Oh, there was a 3-point objective here as well. So yeah, there's a better shot of my darlings, and I really like the simplicity of the deployment of this army. I won the roll-off for infiltrators, and I decided to deploy my mandrakes in the building with the objective in order to get a little bit of space in the midfield of the table, because he has up to 3 infiltrators he can bring in because of his warlord trait. And yeah, just to get in that building and hold on with my shrouded and stealthed mandrakes. Right, I don't have a great picture of his deployment, but I'll do my best. It's great to play on terrain heavy boards, it makes the game really interesting, but I don't think I saw a Necron model this whole game. Anyway, we have his Necron warriors with their Ghost Arc here in the backfield. We have 2 destroyers and 4 scarab swarms behind this building, I think. We've got, well, they might have been behind this one. We've got 1 destroyer on the roof for sure, and his Night Scythe with the Immortals is in Deep Strike Reserve. Over to the, we'll call this the east flank. We have the infiltrating canoptek wraiths, my good friends. Also behind this ruin we have the spider with all his shenanigans, and over here in the compound of this building we have Orikan the Diviner and his rape train of doom. My opponent fails to steal the initiative, which is super important because it gives me the opportunity to blunt his wraith force, and that's what I'm going to try to do. His plan, incidentally, was to use the wraiths to herd me towards the centre of the table where he could take me apart with his Orikan squad and try to prevent me from using my speed to fly around all over the place. Sounds like a good plan. So as you can see, I've pulled my Talos squad, or squads, back so they can draw a line of sight to the wraiths. My black venom has just shifted back a bit out of the charge range, and this has my HQ Archon in it. And the green venoms have jumped into the centre of the board here. I did this to get a clean line of sight on the spider, which experience in the last game taught me needed to die immediately. And this, in my opinion, was the defining mistake of the game. The job of this unit is to gang up on 1 target at a time and minimise return fire from the rest of the army, preferably only being visible to its target unit. So I've got my target in sight, but every other thing with a gun in the Necron army can now draw a line of sight on them. I've jumped them directly into the Necron's fire zone. Just genius. In the shooting phase it takes 3 venoms to take down the spider, but we got it. Which means it's just good old 3+ invulnerable saves for the wraiths. The last venom, its crew, and my Talos squad open up, kill a wraith, and wound 2 more. And I've done worse against these guys. And with that, we go into the Necron turn. They all move up, as you see here. The Lich Guard plodding up to take on my tasty Talos. And everything else preparing to nail my army in the killing zone. And there's the Wraith smoothing up, and I've got to hand it to him. It looks like this is a pretty well played manoeuvre. And this is the Tomb Blades moving on top of the building to target my Venoms, and I think they lose 1 of their number as it crashes into the building and dies, which I'm quite happy with. In the shooting phase they pile everything into my Venoms. It's the Tomb Blades with their blast weapons that do most of the damage, and essentially we lose the Venom in the foreground, this Venom, and this Venom loses a whole point, but is otherwise unscathed. In the assault phase, the Wraiths obviously charge this Venom here and easily kill it. The crew disembark into the ruins in safety. Luckily I passed my only leadership check of the game because they were outside my general's bubble of arrogance. So into my turn we go. The Black Venom drops off the Warlord on the objective in my home building and then flies up into the building more near the centre. I'm not really sure what I was doing here. I guess I was trying to target things. I think I wanted to get a line of sight or more shooting into the Wraith unit. You can see there in the bottom corner my Talos moving up the street to also get a bead on the Wraiths. I don't want them running around behind the building because they can't shoot at anything and they'll be too far away from the rest of the battle to actually do anything, so I move them back more centrally, so a bit of a dither there, and I'm just going to see what happens in the inevitable combat with his Death Star unit. My 1 remaining green Venom has hopped up onto the building to be away from the Scarabs and help gun down the Wraiths. In the shooting phase, we bolster morale a little bit by shooting, I think, all the warriors who are disembarked, and the mandrakes and all the Talos into the wraiths and wipe them out. Annoyingly, the black venom and the remaining green venom were pointing at the wraiths, and so don't really have much of a target anymore. I would have loved to shoot those tomb blades down, but as it is, we can only just see the scarab unit, and we take off as many of them as we can see. I think technically there's one scarab left, which is the story of my life, really. I should probably mention that both my Scourge units successfully deep struck behind the Ghost Ark, and it took two of them to do it, but they popped it open and spilled the Necron warriors onto the floor outside. So I've dented their mobility a tiny weeny bit, but now my Scourge are dead, and the turn of respite they should be buying my venoms is a bit wasted now that I don't really have any left. In the Necron turn, they press their advantage hard. The Night Scythe comes in, boosting hard. The Necron Overlord leads his bodyguard through the wall of the ruined building out behind the Talos. The Night Scythe Teslas the venom to death, but the warriors scramble out unharmed. Tense moment here. A Necron Destroyer sights my Archon through the window, and he narrowly evades taking an instant death as he ducks his head away from the window. Over in the backfield, now you see them, now you don't. The Tomb Blades melted one of the units, and the Necron warriors killed all but one of the unit on the hill, and this Scourge just flees for the rest of the game. And I don't really blame him, to be honest. In combat, the party gets started. The Talos can't do anything to the Lich Guard, and needing 6s to wound, the Lich Guard can't do anything to the Talos. The Overlord manages to slip the wound through on one of the Talos. And this is all thanks to the Kronos giving them a 4+ feel no pain. Yep, we've got a mighty tar pit starting up here. In my turn, there's not really a lot to do. It's just various warrior squads scrambling for various objectives. And here you can probably see that again. In shooting, we take pot shots at the Night Scythe. One gets through, but doesn't glance or pen. It's a bit silly, really. I should have been going for the Tomb Blades. But hey, hindsight's 20/20. In combat, I decide in for a penny, in for a pound, and shove the other two Talos in there. I keep the Kronos back because I don't want him getting targeted in close combat. But instead of moving it here, up by the wall, where he can benefit all my warrior squads and stay out of shooting sight, I've moved him here where he can't benefit anyone but the Talos squads and can draw additional fire, because that's just how I roll. In combat, we can't do any damage to the Necrons, and we take a few more wounds for our trouble. Did I mention that Necron squad is 400 something points? Because I think that's 480 points of monstrous creature it's holding up, and winning against. In the Necron turn, I think the warriors blink off one of my warriors. And everything else targets the Kronos, who passes every single one of his saves. You little beauty. In combat, we lose a Talos, and the tar pit of all tar pits continues. In my turn, there's not a lot to say. All my warrior squads snap shoot at the Night Scythe. One of them actually hits, but then fails to glance or pen. With nothing else to do, my Kronos charges into combat. I figure I've lost a Talos, so I need to keep the pressure up. He's going to get shot to pieces otherwise, and why the hell not? Unsurprisingly, every single attack is directed at the Kronos, and he goes down to 1 wound, which is not bad against a ton of Strength 5 AP2 attacks. And I don't believe anything else happens. I've got to say, actually, I'm rolling really quite well. I'm making quite a lot of these 4-up Feel No Pains, and my opponent is stretching my nerves to the edge because he just keeps rolling 1s and 2s, but then finally rolls a 4 or a 6 or something like that. You know, I can see why he takes them. If it was anything else, I'd have blown through this unit like a dandelion clock. In his turn, the Tomb Blades move up to fire lots of their horrible death shots at my warrior squad. And it's really just shuffling, to be honest. I think the Night Scythe flies off. Something shoots at the warrior squad on the red tower and has no problem in taking them down. And in combat, I think we kill 2. That's it. 2 Lich Guard. Against unbelievable odds, the Talos are starting to claw their way back. Although, sadly, we lose the Kronos. And I think it was Orikan himself that did the foul deed. So with that, the Necrons lose combat by 1, and he passes his panic check, and crushes my hopes of getting back in this game. In my turn, I make the decision to run my warrior squad out of the building with the objective over here, and make a break for line breaker. So I've taken my objective secured squad out into the open, and left my elite non-objective secured squad to hold the objective. In combat, I lose another Talos, I think the one with the Groot head, and I believe he takes some of the attacks on his Overlord, who actually takes a wound as well, him only having a 90% chance to pass his armor saves. I think my opponent's thinking with this was that if he started to lose any more Lich Guard, I would then have a better chance of targeting the characters themselves. So he's taking some wounds on the characters now to prevent future losses. To be honest, I don't think he needs to bother. I'm already way above the statistical chance of me killing any more Lich Guard this game. In the Necron's turn, the Night Scythe swoops in again and drops off its immortals this time, looking to contest, well, actually to take my objective away from me. The Tomb Blades, I think, just shuffle around, get into a better position to shoot my warrior squad in the building, who are trying desperately to hold the objective. The 2 Necron destroyers have also moved up to target them, and the Necron warriors are chilling out by the blood pool with the 4-point objective. I think the Scarab is behind the black building on another objective. In shooting, my opponent is confused by my stupidity in running my objective secured troops out into the open, and here I think he makes a rare mistake. He chooses to shoot at my mandrakes and then assault them, and he hits them with a ton of shots, but thanks to their 2+ armor save and feel no pain, only one of them falls. If he'd shot my warriors, he would have killed them, and then there's nothing I can do to stop him from taking objective secured and taking their objective. In the shooting phase, one of my remaining warrior squads is looking down the barrel of a lot of Necron firepower, but it only takes the Tomb Blades with their blast, strength 6, ignore cover, ignore feel no pain, ignore armor to take them down. This squad is the bane of basic Dark Eldar, and I need to take them down much, much earlier. Happily, because they got so close, their shots actually scatter onto them and kill one of them. Which, I'll take that. And in the assault phase, here's a shot of the destroyers boosting up to just double secure that objective. And the other destroyer takes the tower objective. And the immortals charge the mandrakes, who actually kill one of the immortals and win combat, but he doesn't break. Feel no pain is such a godsend. But in the only combat anyone really cares about, Orikan goes Super Saiyan. And he beats 2 wounds off of the Talos. But not before they've beaten him down. I can't remember how many wounds this ascended form gets, but we take him down to 2 wounds. My opponent must have had a horrific time with the dice. And we either draw combat or actually win by 1, but clearly he does not panic. The game's not over yet, and in my turn I reveal my cunning master plan and forget about the line breaker with my warriors and charge back into combat against the immortals. And given that we have furious charge and maybe rage, we do a number on them, but the one remaining Necron refuses to break. I hate there just being one left. Finish what you start, guys. Finish what you start. In combat, my Talos are just pulling it out of the box. We do, I can't remember, 1 or 2 wounds on the Necron Lord. And even with Orikan Ascended, I don't think we take anything in return. And they yet again refuse to break. If he'd been allocating these wounds on the Lich Guard, they wouldn't have been taking them. So I wonder if maybe taking all the wounds on the Lich Guard until they're all gone is maybe the better idea. Even if you lose enough that the Talos can start attacking the individual characters, then you can just look out, sir, and get that save. Yeah, I suspect that might be the good idea. Risking all these break tests takes balls of steel. In his turn, the Night Slider's got nothing to do, so it just moves to there. And there's a shot of how the board is shaping up. In the backfield, the Necrons are clustering around the 4-point objective. The Destroyers have moved up to see if they can shoot something. They can't, and then they decide to boost back and claim the other objective in the assault phase. The Tomb Blades jump through the building, trying to get into my backfield and get Linebreaker, which they are just out of range of, and they shoot at my warrior squad in the building, and yep, there's nothing our guys can do against that. But you can see my Archon just below, holding our 3-point objective, still surviving. In the combat between the Mandrakes, Dark Eldar Warriors and the Immortal, no one does anything, and that objective remains contested. Over here in the tar pit, the 2 remaining Talos beat that son of a bitch Orikan down to his last wound. Tragically, another Talos goes down, leaving one beaten and bloody but defiant on 1 wound, still holding his ground. And what a combat this has been. I think it's gone on for about 7 rounds now. Both units have been tanking obscene amounts of high strength AP2 attacks. This armor save followed by an armor save followed by an armor save thing that Games Workshop's doing now is just crazy. But my Talos did me so proud. They held this rape machine all game, and I know it was my opponent's plan rather than mine, but still, hanging in there right to the bitter end. I couldn't ask for more. But yeah, if this doesn't prove that this Orikan unit isn't the most brutal dice sink in the game, I don't know what does. I think it can be said that we gave it a fair go, but my verdict is just ignore this unit. I refer you to the new strategy. So my closing thoughts on this game are that I really like the feel of this list, and I'm really looking forward to playing more with it. I also really enjoyed playing this Necron list. It's so tough. It's such a brilliant challenge. I really hope he keeps with it and I get the chance to play against it some more and learn how to beat it. If I was to do this battle again, I would move my Venom squadron up close to the Wraiths, and if anything survives, well, I lose a Venom, and I can handle that. The Talos squad I would move up, push into the centre to get a line of sight on the Spider, hopefully take that down. And from what I saw this game, their skin is tough enough to weather whatever the Necrons can throw at them. If Orikan's rape train did manage to get the charge on one of the Talos squads, the other and the Kronos would push forwards towards his juicy warriors and destroyers, whilst the Lich Guard were pinned for a couple of turns, and my Venoms would sweep round, ideally clearing out Scarabs and destroyers as they go. You can't really know how your opponent would have reacted, but I think that would have put me in a much stronger position, especially with the Scourge coming down to take out the Ghost Arc and putting that pressure of multiple targets on the Necrons. Yeah, that's my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours if you have any. Stick them down in the comments, and let's check out the scores.